Game number 2 of the day as we jump into the Mechas Champion Select, and Dire Wolves take it on the Gravitas roster with them getting first pick. Instantly into a misfortune. Not going to see the likes of an Aphelios prioritization this time around their spawn.
That is so interesting to me because there seems to be 280 carries on the patch.
I know.
Which is Aphelios and Senna. And Senna and Aphelios are both up and available, and neither of them have been locked in for Puma. So instead they've gone with Misfortune. She's certainly got a game-changing ultimate. And the
Varus. Instantly, that's something we haven't seen in a while, and that's a very early prioritization.
Okay, that's
Were they really
insane.
that worried it was going to be taken away from them?
I mean, no, but at the same time, if that's what you're going to play in Misfortune, regardless, the easiest way to get guaranteed counterpick for your solo lanes and potentially jungle as well is just take it immediately. I don't mind drafting this way, actually. Dire Wolves, I think, have got one of the best bottom lanes in the game. Very versatile, Braum and Varus. They go forwards well and backwards well at the same time.
Well, they've locked in the Ornn with that Misfortune, so 2 ultimates that can instantly find value and denied by the likes of the Braum. And a Zyra as well, so we're finding some aggression. You'd assume that would be a support Zyra.
Yeah, that's what they played last week versus Order.
And it was rough, wasn't it? It was...
For me?
I mean, no, to watch, to see what happened.
Okay.
They're like, look, we can get so aggressive, kind of like when you play a brand, we want to get kills, we want to try and snowball. It was like 0-5. We said at the end of it was like a glorified minion.
Yeah. So the thing about Zyra in this composition is Zyra is really good against hard engage if she has like a stopwatch or a Zhonya's because she just dumps all of her spells, goes into stasis and does a disgusting amount of damage for a support, right? However, they've got 2 really good non-committal engages so far. They have the Varus ultimate, they have the Braum tag into ultimate.
Yep.
So it's not guaranteed that K-pop is going to be safe just getting out all of his damage in these fights. He might have to use those ultimates and abilities a little bit too early. In saying that, it should be a great laning phase. Zyra smashes Braum in the lane if it is an isolated 2v2 with no jungler assistance.
One of the risks, as we've highlighted before, when you lock in that Braum blindly, a few counters for him in that regard, but they do have a lot of engage right now, Dire Wolves, and it makes it quite reliable for them to be too ultimate heavy. And you'd imagine, based on what we've seen so far in the draft, they're going to be the ones that are the initiators, with Gravitas more likely to sit on the back foot, wait for them to come in and try and find those kind of miracle picks with those ultimates that you highlighted. The bans are interesting for me. Obviously, LeBlanc taken away to make sure that the 2v2 mid and jungle is denied. But then once again, 2 early game jungle is denied away, similar to what we saw Legacy do in the previous set.
And obviously just not really giving... Oh, actually, that's an interesting one. I was going to say not giving all that much respect to the Echo. However, doesn't go for Echo this time around. Goes for Olaf. That's kind of counterpicking yourself. Because Jarvan can just go full tank and kind of lock Olaf up with another member of the team. And Olaf can't really do all that much about it.
Let me pull up a stat here, Spawn. I'm pretty sure from last week we had 3 Olaf games and they were all defeats. So if that's not an omen on this game already, then I don't know what is.
Yeah, potentially could be the case. I know that only played it in the Order versus Legacy game, which was obviously a loss, but had a good early game. And then Gravitas, I believe Praylist played it against Order and 8 only as well in that game. So he certainly at least got 1 kill when he played against Order, because I remember him eating the Lee Sin. That's going to be a Victor, which we saw last night in the LCK, prioritized heavier than I think anyone would have expected. So Shot going to pick that one up.
The Orianna and Olaf combo, no surprises there. Very strong in what it can achieve. Same I suppose you could say there for the Ornn. But if we're comparing both compositions right now, Dire Wolves definitely have a lot of resources, be it from the back line, be it from the front line, to force those engages to make sure that everything happens within a nice, beautiful wombo combo AoE style. But for Gravitas, it feels like their composition's kind of revolving around the idea of, yes, we respect the Dire Wolves, come at us, now we have a few tools to try and turn it around in our favor.
Yeah, I mean, I think, so the Dire Wolves have a better 1-4 composition. They have really good wave clear coming out of the Varus as well as the Victor, and they're going to be able to just allow chippies to split forever. If it wasn't for the Olaf, I would actually say Gravitas' teamfight comp is significantly better. They have Misfortune ult plus Orianna Shockwave plus the Ornn ultimate, right? So they should be able to get fights started whenever they want it. They just have to be a little bit aware of where Decoy's shield is. As long as they are able to get a nobody ult across the team without a decoy shield interrupting it, they should be able to start ults whenever they want Gravitas, but it's just about whether they can do it in time before Chippy Split pushes this map apart. And that's kind of always been Chippy's playstyle. He loves to be the player that is putting a time limit on the other team's move. You know, I'm going to stay in this bottom lane, and if you do not respond or get a good team fight in the next 3 minutes, then your base is gone, and eventually I'll win the game that way.
Hoping for a win, we've got Dire Wolves coach Kai. How are you feeling about this one today?
Yeah, good. Like, after a bit of a bounce back from last week, just went back to the drawing board a little bit on what we were comfortable on, and then, you know, just planned out these weeks really early. So, yeah, we're really happy with what we got.
Were there many changes, I suppose, after the, I suppose, lack of a better word, a sad defeat to Penn at GG? Was there any sort of major changes that you could discuss to say, look, you know, that wasn't how we wanted it to be, we need to reevaluate this completely? Or was it kind of like, hey, it is what it is, it was unlucky, we still feel like we're incredibly strong, let's go again?
A little bit of both. So, like, you know, we started off scrims really well in the year, and then we came through and we had, you know, you have your rough times, you kind of get through the honeymoon phase, and then we hopped into the last week, and we thought we played well early, and then we kind of just didn't close it out. And then what we focus on a lot, like we have Cupcake with us, which is really lovely, and we're able to split that time to go, okay, how do we fix these little niggling issues that we have, these little growing pains that we're kind of having at the moment? And it was like a really successful week. So we're just really happy with that. And we're just like, okay, that's one kind of stuff up there. Let's put it back to, you know, just what we're doing and go back to dominating.
So talk to me about this split roster then, because lots of teams in the OPL have tried it in the past. Mammoth probably the most successful, having won a title with both Fudge and Topoon. What do you find the strength of splitting game time is, and what are you kind of hoping to achieve with it?
Yeah, so it depends on the week on what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. It gives me options to kind of read their moods and read our gameplay state at the moment. So that's kind of the main point. And also having Cupcake particularly being able to go into the game when we are having it, he is the coach, he can direct it. And I can go in there and be like, hey man, like just pop in for like 2 or 3 games and just kind of force your will on what we're trying to do. Make them do it live in game and you kind of carry that bit for me. And then we'll put whoever else needs to be next game, and then they can kind of copy you because the tone's already set. And we can see the play work. I don't have to be like, oh, I hope my players do this play I've designed for them this time. It's, I know it will happen because we made it together.
All right, now talk to me about your composition, because you seem to have a really good 1-4 split. And Chippy's is playing the 1, and it looks like the rest of the team's on the 4. Is that something that's carried over from Chippy's playstyle? Where do you think it fits?
Honestly, like, where this came from is just the fact that we're playing Gravitas. Like, we were just like, okay, we want to make sure we have late scaling, which is the Camille. We know we can just take over the game later. And then they banned out a lot of 80 carries, and we just kind of popped down, and we're like, okay, let's just pick consistent for the general 4, knowing that we'll probably get the Camille, and then be like, as long as we have late scaling, that's all we really need. And we'll just win the game off that.
Well, all the best. Good luck for this game, and we'll catch up after.
Thank you very much.
Obviously, Kai from the Dire Wolves, and it's interesting to see kind of teams' mindsets adjust. You know, we're playing against Gravitas. They're going to throw something weird at us. We need to be able to take this late if necessary, so therefore we're going to pick that way. Certainly something that's new in the OPL this year, I feel. So we'll see whether that is going to be the case. Miru is a little bit ahead on the jungle right now, which is interesting because he didn't go for a full clear, but normally Olaf is much quicker.
Now, Praelis is blind, and Mir is able to do this based on the fact that mid and top have priority in his regard, so this entire top river is controlled with vision. Praelis walking in the dark. But Mir opting not to decide to go for that one.
And I think this is interesting because we're going to get a cross on mid lane at the same time that 2 members are coming down.
Chippies is
Beats
coming
right
in.
Now.
He wants this. Obviously, top lane's pushed in completely. Mir's looking to try and start this one off. Beats has no mana. Has a flash to get out straight away. Won't be able to actually respond with this one, however, but there's the teleport to try and start things off with Victor. Gets the stun on the ground, and he gets the party going as nobody responds. 1 for 1 so far. It's looking very good.
Here.
But that's going to be Chippies that looks to try and get a response in that top lane too. 1 for 1, double kill onto Ornn. We know how scaling he can get. And, well, now he has double buffs.
I mean, that's a really good result there, I feel like, for Gravitas. Even though they had to burn the teleport, they do have flash of advantage now on top side of the map and double buffs on an Ornn. And for those that don't know, Ornn's early game is actually gross. He solo kills so many champions at level 6 alone. His base damages are ridiculously high. Obviously, as the game progresses, he stops doing damage at all. He's a tank, but he is really one of those legacy tanks, like a Scion, that does pack quite the punch in the early game. Now he's gone back, got himself a Barmy Cinder. I feel like this could be quite a successful early game, and we've already seen that K-Pop and Puma do get the shove on this bottom side of the map. Take another look at this one. This is Miru going very far forward They will be able to pick up the early kill onto Praelis, but as soon as nobody arrives, that's when the kind of fight turns around. Obviously, Beats stuck in no man's land, has got himself the teleport, so just running towards his support as quickly as he can. Didn't want to go away from Mr. K-Pop there, and it's going to be the double kill picked up. 2 for 2 kill traded, but ultimately double buffs and flash still available for nobody.
I've seen plenty of montages online of what Ornns can do at level 6 and before, and they have been pretty disgusting.
And, I mean, sometimes they even run things like the spell book and the like. Yeah, it can, you know, result in some pretty cool 1v1 kills. This is going to be a forfeit of the bottom lane. So after saying that bottom lane should get the shove, obviously Puma and K-Pop not as confident without the Ignite available. Will allow themselves to get pushed in, and that's going to be a free dragon for the Dire Wolves.
Be a little bit rough here for Chippy because he doesn't have flash, so he's going to be kind of forced to hide behind this tower. Make sure he doesn't become a diving casualty, as Ornn and Olaf can set that one up quite nicely. Very beefy. Not going to be too susceptible to the CC that can come across.
And I think it's a strange choice going for Barmy Cinder, right? Oh, as Beats in some trouble.
Shock is looking to try and make things happen right now. Is the ultimate going to be enough? One spark would have done it, but Beats incredibly lucky to get away.
Yeah, I mean, has a Time Warp tonic, so can't just completely roll those potions, right? It doesn't give him a little bit more movement speed. You can see Shock had already shopped and come back to base. Beats was kind of getting greedy, sticking around there, had the wave pushing against him, so had lost kind of the experience at lead. Decoy right now, got a face check.
He's going to look for this one as the root lands. The shield instantly goes up. And not much is going to be seen about that one, but you can already start to see a healthy lead come across in that mid lane for the Victor as a result of 2 successful skirmishes and just his raw ability to bully Beats out.
Yeah, I mean, I think Victor has kind of always won this lane. It has been kind of a skill matchup in the past. Obviously, having an earlier back means that he was able to pick up a lot of that CS, and Beats was zoned from that wave. He's going to get a second recall in very quickly. Don't know really what he's going to be able to purchase with that, so instead he opts to stick around. And this is an out-and-out lane swap coming across from Gravitas at only 7 minutes in the game.
Very, very early, and it's actually advantageous really for Dire Wolves because Chippies was able to crash that lane in. Nobody's going to come on down here looking for that ability to try and zone on out and maybe be more of a threat given what he was able to achieve with the 2 kills at the start to try and contest some of these objectives like the Drake. But Misfortune and Zyra weren't able to really find the aggression that they were looking to.
Yeah, and I mean, this is interesting to me, right? Because unless you can start this Rift Herald on spawn, your top lane is pushing out. So as you mentioned, this should be Chippies getting a lot of farm. And even though I thought that Chippies should be in a little bit of trouble, right, with how the lane had ended up, he's now up in gold. He's been able to have a pretty good shot at it. And that's another ult going down mid lane.
Once again, Beats is looking for it. He chucks up that shockwave to try and deny a little bit more, but he's going to be pushed out of lane again. The pings are furious into top lane as the scanner goes across. That control wall would have spotted this, but Chippies does have his ultimate available for him. Defensive ward in the brush. As Praelis backs on away, but it still begs the question, you know, Dire Wolves very, very comfortable with this early game.
But can you take this Rift Herald right now? I don't think you can. You've lost mid lane control, you don't have shockwave available. Teleport isn't up for nobody, and already their bottom lane has recalled. 4,000 health. And I think this is suicide if Gravitas go for it.
Cataclysm available. Support's still level 5, however. So we're not going to see any major engage in that regard. Both smites are available. Root comes out. Red team picked that one up. The Ornhorn goes absolutely nowhere as Ragnarok comes across, trying to buy some time. Bullet Time's only doing damage onto Decoy, and he doesn't seem to mind that one. Mir falls on down. Puma finds one, but both ADCs find kills. Now they chase on the Vital, who's run away from the rest of the team. Decoy cannot jump across, but he does get the clutch heal out to survive both him and his teammate. And we may just see a clean disengage with just 1 kill apiece.
Yeah, 1 kill apiece, and it is going to be Herald going over to the Dire Wolves lineup. So not as a disaster team fight as I thought it would be. Beats still was able to put out quite a fair amount of damage despite being so low and zoned off that mid lane wave. So credit to how Gravitas were able to fight that. It looked like it should have been a really great fight for the Dire Wolves. They still win the objective, but it is still just going to be that 1-for-1 trade.
Guys, we're very happy here in this 1v2 situation, but hang on a minute. Praelis is here. He has spotted trouble, though. And his map sense does suggest that he needs to get out of dodge.
Yeah, no wave available there. You can see already that there was a vision ward spotting him out as well. So Praelis going to have to go back to his jungle, going to hand off this buff. And right now you can see mid lane is really where the CS is starting to open up. Everywhere pretty even in gold, but that 400 in mid lane, as well as 600 actually in the jungle position as well for Mir. Means that right now, about 1,000 gold lead for the Dire Wolves. That seems about right for how the game state has gone.
Every flash will be available apart from Zyra and Jarvan, with that Drake spawning in the next minute. So we'll have to see how these laners reset themselves. So we do see both Chippies and Nobody go back to the top lane. But once again, K-pop just so scared of the threat that Dire Wolves can emit here. And Mir's on the hunt, says, well, look, if you want to force a fight, I'm very happy to do this one because I can just pop Rift Herald, we get priority again, we take a Drake, and this game just snowballs out of control.
So you can see Miru's gone over the wall.
Jumping on in, that's going to be the Zyra route to try and find things here. He goes golden, he gets the kill, however. Vital finding that one very vitally for himself.
He's gone.
He gets a double kill, but he gets executed by the tower. There's no kill for Gravitas.
That is such a big deal that Puma wasn't able to get damage onto Vital there, because him falling down would have been the shutdown kill.
I know.
Probably would have dragged the gold back, probably 600. A little bit more even. Instead, you can see that's going to be another dragon picked up now. No way Prellis can contest this one. And Dire Wolves starting to really run away with it.
It was 1k gold before that play, it's 2k now. And Vital must be breathing a big sigh of relief at the fact that, well, how did I not get tagged at least once? Cooldown reduction on the ultimates. Health regen on that one too. So we're going to be looking at a soul that could, well, as you see, be mountain rising. So shields galore.
Yeah, and I mean, that's going to be much more useful for Gravitas if they're able to pick it up right. They've got themselves the Ola as well as the Ornn, who with those shields are going to probably become a little bit unkillable as the game progresses. However, it looks like Dire Wolves right now in the driver's seat to be able to pick it up. They do have some good dive tools themselves, and we've already seen that showing a lot of coordination right now on Summoner's Rift. Kai spoke about how they felt like they didn't have a great showing for themselves in Week 1, despite being able to pick up, a solitary win. Now, being able to have a look at how they're performing so far in this week looks the goods.
Shock in trouble as he finds himself down to half, and Prellis is on the hunt from the flank. Flashes go out thick and fast on both. They do get that kill. Teleport actually coming in here by Nobody because he wanted to join the action and pick himself up an assist. But now he loses top lane priority again. Chippies keeps pushing in tower plates. And Gravitas try and find anything they can really at this stage. It's scrappy.
Yeah, and I mean, Miru has been spotted out here.
K-pop in a spot of bother. He doesn't have flash. Mir's just forced to back away because the fight turns around on itself. Decoy going golden. He dashes across. He gets ignited. Is he going to be able to disengage? That is the question right now. The flash, the Ornn horn, everything chucked at disengage. And they get the kill. It's a beautiful turnaround as Gravitas start things in the bot lane.
Yeah, and I mean, they did lose a lot top right now. You can see that with the recalls stopped as well from Vital, they're going to lose majority of that turret up there in the top lane, and Chippies is 40 CS ahead after these waves push in. But that is still a very nice proactive play from Nobody, extending himself down into that bottom lane and making sure his carries get some gold on themselves, because otherwise this game would have been next to over. Not the perfect play. They still are getting traded on, but really, really nice effort from the young team in Gravitas there.
Playing very much into the hands of Chippies though, because that's what he loves to do. He's split pushing very early on into this one. Going to pick up that tower and force at the split here from Orianna coming on through. You might see an engage take place here. Shockwave was available, but too elusive on Camille.
I was going to say, Chippies needs to be careful there, because the GLP build is quite frustrating to deal with, and I just spied the Hourglass as well, which means if Beats hadn't been able to beat him in, stopwatch out some of that major damage, was in 1v1 range, because Chippies is about to go back, and I have an inkling that he could probably finish his Trinity Force at this stage of the game, so I think he's sitting on about 2,000 gold. So definitely doesn't want to be taking a 1v1 fight against a freshly shopped opponent when you're probably the richest man on Summoner's Rift, but you just haven't spent half of it.
He wants more. He must be very close to this one as he picks up those. And now we hit that 14-minute mark with those tower platings falling on down. What started off so strong for the Ornn as, I suppose, slowed down big time. He's become more of a team player. He's gone down to the bottom lane trying to decide, how can I run away from this Camille? Because, yeah, Trinity Falls, Tiamat, and Boots to your name. If he jumps on you, you're going to die. No other way to describe it.
Yeah, completely agree. And I will be interested to see what direction the Ornn kind of goes on in with his build. whether it is going to be something like a Frozen Heart or whether he goes towards Abyssal Mask. There is only one AP threat on the lineup with Dire Wolves, although Varus does do a lot of ability damage as well. You can already see Herald was kind of started up, but now has been disengaged from, because, I mean, Dire Wolves know that Gravitas right now, they just want to continue to group and fight.
Yeah.
And as long as they want to do that, all you have to do is leave Chippies in the side lane and avoid the action like the play.
100%. It's like one of those common solo queue strategies, right? Let's group up. We're stronger as 5. Let's try and make something happen. And right now, Gravitas after finding those kills in the bottom lane. Maybe a little bit of confidence to say, let's try and do something vital, trying to be cheeky there with the steal away with the arrow. But Chippy's just going to keep breaking down the structures until it comes to a head of, well, there's nothing left for us to lose.
And so the thing is, Skimmy, is that a Rift Herald expected result after Place is down is probably a turret, right?
Yep.
So if you've traded it for a turret on the bottom lane, they really gain nothing there. So the Dire Wolves call to not fight and allow Chippies to accumulate solo gold is the right call. And the fact they now have 4 members here actually means that Chippies wins the trade, and he's 2 levels up.
It's disgusting. It really is. Sort of showcases where the psychological levels are at right now, as to maybe feeling a little bit intimidated by what can be done by this composition. But they will need to scale up a little bit further to try and start unlocking those Ornn upgrades. And maybe then, what was such a, I don't want to say disastrous, because by no means is it disastrous. They're completely still in this one, but they are starting to fall away. Ornn could then be that turning point in mid to late.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're looking for 2 items to come out on Beats as well as Puma. You need Infinity Edge. Oh, Shockwave.
That's a lot of damage on Defiant, so he gets healed. He just gets clapped. No other way to say it. And Decoy may be a catch in this one as well, but Chippies is dirty. He jumps in, and Decoy, of all people, actually picks up the return.
And I want to steal kind of the words of Bryce Agent Paul there, because Praelis just threw that axe into Narnia. And missed Decoy by a country mile. And we see the fight continue.
Dire Wolves are angry right now. The Ornhorn coming out to try and dissuade any kind of counter-engage. They fought back for a second. Now they're going to posture to go back in. Chippies, he's a man on a mission.
I mean, he's just so threatening at this stage of the game. You can see that Puma being chased out as well right now from Shock. So it's going to be Dragon given over to the Dire Wolves. That's the 3rd Dragon of the game. They've already put themselves on Soul Point, and it's 17 minutes into this one. You know, maybe if you pick up the 2 kills there, you are the team that's going towards Dragon. You stall this game out a little bit longer. You know, we can start talking about the scaling word. So the Dire Wolves right now just still look in control.
Dire Wolves very happy with this one, as you say, Soul Point in their books, making themselves incredibly tanky, which is really what Gravitas are after. They'll need that, and if we're not looking at them picking up a Soul Point, well, we're going to be looking at some very early Elder Drakes, which may be a turning point for them. A few crucial ultimates that could try and find them some life in that. Talking about Shockwave, talking about Bullet Time, even what K-pop's been able to achieve so far with those plants. Elder Drake could be that 6th member.
Yeah, I reckon Shock or K-pop's done probably the most damage on Summoner's Rift right now. Zyra does, like, just a surprising amount of damage for the role that she's played in, right? She is very fragile, but especially... Oh, that's a flash from Vital.
Vital in trouble here. He's got no team members in support, and down the river, there she goes.
And the young Dire Wolfian has been caught out, what, 3 times now? I think
Complete
the last
switch
3...
from last week.
Yeah, the last 3 deaths have actually been on him. As we see a bit of a tango down here.
We do indeed. Look at the damage. Chippy's just not afraid to showcase what he can do.
So for those that don't know about Camille's kit, a little bit of educational League of Legends time. Her Q has 2 activations, right? So the first one just does physical damage, bonus physical damage. Second one does true damage and actually converts Sheen's damage, which is bonus physical AD, to true damage as well. That's why she's so good into tank. So you can see that Chippy's, despite the fact that playing against Ninja Tabbies as well as Sunfire Cape, which against any other bruiser would be enough for Ornn to win these 1v1s, is just able to put out way too much damage right now for nobody to deal with.
Has drawn down the majority of the Gravitas roster to this bot lane to say, hey, look, if he jumps on me again 2 levels up, I need some support. Chippy's feigning the recall. He says it's time to fight. Let's go on in. The ult comes out, the Ornhorn to follow, and before he dies, the peck falls over his body.
And the thing is that Chippies knew they were in bottom side jungle, because he had seen them walk in off mid lane wave. There was nowhere else for them really to be unless they were going really deep top side, which at this stage of the game definitely would have been spotted out on vision, right? So that's a cheeky kill, because you know they're somewhere in the vicinity, but he's just trusting his damage output, that he's run the numbers, he's done the maths a little bit better. and that he can get in and out before there really is any retaliation. And the most impressive thing about it, that's exactly what he does. Gets the Ornhorn out, picks himself up a solo kill, and just continues to extend this lead.
His burnt resources, and that's allowing Dire Wolves the pick of the map really at this stage. Able just to freely rotate, freely roam. Maybe a little bit too much of Vital in the earlier stages of this game, but his mechanics have proven that he will be a vital resource later on as these team fights start to take place. But what was a 5-man roaming squad has slowly started to break up as they try and establish a bit more of map control and make sure that this lead of gold that is now sitting at 3k diminishes back to where it was at, say, 1k.
And the thing is if Ornn gets an upgrade through, you know, that's between 12 and 1800 gold, depending on what he goes for. Second one, that's once again between 12 and 1800 gold. So in 2 levels' time, that gold lead is actually 0.
Yep.
Then you start throwing a little bit more gold onto something like a Misfortune, like an Orianna. And their gold lead starts becoming, you know, actually a lead right now because they're 500 gold down. You know, you add an Ornn upgrade on top of it, all of a sudden you maybe, you know, 500 gold up as Mir gets killed out again. So I do feel like the team fight is always going to be pressured for Dire Wolves. However, what Dire Wolves have shown is a complete lack of interest in team fighting.
Yeah.
They just want to keep the map as big as possible. And that's really easy to do while the map state is like this, with Baron up, and with, you know, yourself with Camille and being able to force on bottom side of the map. When that becomes difficult is, say you take a Baron but you lose a team fight, or only one person has it up and available and you can't put it across 2 lanes. That's when they can just kind of turtle in the base. And when I say they, I mean Gravitas. Turtle in the base and make the map small again. So as long as the map is big like this, I feel like the Dire Wolves have a really good advantage because of how Chippies is playing this game. But it won't always be like that.
There's almost an emphasis, if you will, of them to try and find themselves a healthy lead in this early mid-game to make sure that when it comes to those Ornn upgrades, they're not rolling the dice, as you will, with a team fight. They're basing it down on pure ability and the openings that will take place of how big the map could be for those invades and for those flanks. Drake is up in the next minute once again. The soul point is what we were discussing before.
Ooh, and Beats just takes all of his health and damage. So that is probably going to be dragging going over unless he can burn something like a cleansing and a teleport pack, because that is just such a bad news story. And you can see that K-Pop also takes a lot of damage on the back end as well. All they need now is their tank to be chunked out, and they're going to be fighting anyone.
Yep, Chippies spots the timer and he says this is the play. They really want to push down that mid lane and open that one up as well. They're sticking pretty in here for the meantime. Multiple members of Gravitas are bleeding. Drake is being pinged upon. I think it's just spawned. There it is. And they are just in no position whatsoever. That is a guaranteed soul point. We're now looking at Baron and Elder.
And the fact that Baron's turned over only 22 minutes into the game, if you are the scaling composition, is a nightmare. Because all you're thinking is, you know, as this game goes for 10, 15 minutes more, we've got it in the driving seat, and we're eventually going to be able to find a team fight. But now you have to think, in 6 minutes we have to fight. You cannot give a team Elder Dragon, especially if it has a Camille. It should just run everyone down. So Dire Wolves have done such a terrific job in controlling objectives this game. Like, it really has put this entire Gravitas lineup on a timer.
It really has. They've brought the pressure to them, and it seems like Gravitas are a little bit lost for words at this stage. They've been unable to really find any sort of chance to try and open this one up or contest any major objective. They found, obviously, the luck with the Rift Herald, but as we pointed out, the trade actually working in favor of Chippies with that split push and getting a tower himself. So every move that they've tried to make has felt rather reactionary.
Yeah, and the game's just being dictated by this man on your screen, right, Chippy? So I think that they have to look for a pick or maybe catch someone out. It looks like the call is going to be onto Shock. Ooh.
Mir jumps in. He's there to protect the boys. The rotation from the squad actually isn't there, however. The rest of the Dire Wolves sitting pretty still. Once again, very stubborn in their attempts to take down this tower. They want it to break open the Elder, to break open the Baron. They want a little bit more reprieve when it comes to that one, but hold the phone for 2 seconds. Cataclysm followed up by a Glacial Fissure. Lots of damage. Can they find more? Double kill already onto the jungler. Ornhorn doing nothing but look pretty on your screen. And instantly they say, it's Baron time. We've got what we want, and we're going to find more.
And Beats has to carry this fight. He's the only member of Gravitas with a team fight ult available. And you can see that already, Puma doesn't want anything to do with it. Beats is going to get chased out, and that's Baron over to the Dire Wolves.
The rest of the team just are not interested. Bottle time with Zyra just wasn't enough to try and buy them time to even put out the damage to stop Dire Wolves. They are happy to sit in the middle of it all, be bloody, be drenched in it all, and just pick up every objective on this map that it has to offer.
And I mean, this is just really nicely played from Dire Wolves. You have to admire the fact that they've stuck to their game plan. You heard exactly what Kai wanted them to be able to do. You know, they needed a scaling element in this comp. And this is just decisive gameplay. Really nice mechanics actually coming across from Miro there. Does majority of the damage onto K-Pop and Praylist already. And this Ornhorn was a little bit of a waste. You feel like if they had that available, maybe they would have been able to contest a Baron fight. However, it was thrown out in the fashion to be able to disengage. And you can see now that the main objective becomes the next dragon. But Chippy's on the opposite side of the map. Just not going to let that become a factor, I feel.
It's the point that I highlighted during the draft, and I know you had to obviously like take into isolation the teams themselves, but it just felt very much like a reactionary defense pick as to how they're playing, and so far from what we've seen in their gameplay, it's played into that fashion as well. Now, obviously Baron-empowered minions mean that the rest of Dire Wolves want to split these lanes, push everything in, carry on doing what they've been doing since the game started, and, well, Baron in your hand, you're now pushing in, creating as much pressure as you like, then saying, well, now you're going to be stuck in your base and you can't even contest an Elder. This game is systematically being taken hit by Dire Wolves.
And this is what it looks like when you have a really good 1-3-1 setup. You'll have both sides of jungle control, which means it's impossible to defend mid anymore because you can see Shock, as well as Chippies, have the fast rotate through the jungle to be able to pressure a 5v3. On the flip side, if you're beat, if you're nobody, you have to run the long way around through your base every single time. So that means that the Dire Wolves should be able to knock down all the structures on Summoner's Rift apart from the base. That's when Gravitas can say, okay, now we can fight. Now we can get people, you know, through the highway a little bit quicker and we can look for our team fight. However, if you're Dire Wolves right now, why would you fight at all? Just take the recall. You've just knocked down 4 turrets on Summoner's Rift. Spend your extra pocket money, come back, beat them over the head with your wallet. Instead, they've given them the fight here.
They have indeed. The Ornhorn comes out, only onto one, onto Shock. The bullet time to follow. A lot of resources pumped in here, when quite honestly, it felt a little bit trigger happy.
They knew that that was their one chance to make a fight happen. However, they didn't have key flashes available. And that means now that without the Ornhorn, without the bullet time, you know, they're going to be looking to once again be defending the Elder Dragon only 27 minutes into the game. I think it comes up at like 28. And Dire Wolves trying to coordinate their wave pushes, trying to keep them locked in the base as much as possible. Now it's a little bit more safe to do it. And one of the reasons you would try and keep Gravitas locked in the base at the moment, right, is so they can't get any vision out, you know, no cheeky teleport flank, 4 beats or nobody. And K-Pop,
K-Pop biting off a lot of lasers right there from Victor. Such an annoying playstyle to go up against. You're just always being pushed against. We want a team fight, but we won't let you team fight. We want to back, but we can't. Gravitas just getting bullied in their base right now as mid and bot lane full. They're looking potentially here, Spawn, to pick out inhibitors before that Elder Drake spawns.
Yeah, and I mean, this is getting a little bit dangerous, right? They have stuck around for such a long time. Cooldowns are nearly back and available. You can see nobody posturing for it. But Chippies at level 16 is so scary. And no one yet engaging for the Gravitas lineup.
Yep, no full commitment. It's just pot shots here and tickles there. Mid inhibitor's already fallen on down, but Chippies finds the script. Oh, that's a beautiful stopwatch if I've ever seen one. They both go golden. Stopwatch comes out, but the bullet time doing little to nothing at this stage to stop this Dire Wolf onslaught. Double kills are there. Double inhibitors are picked up. We might just be looking at the game finishing right there. No Elder, no buy, no problem.
You can see that Dire Wolves still posturing to end here.
Ornhorn comes out, Decoy eats that one up for breakfast as Mir flashes on out, Shock buys, he teleports back in. We're going for the core, 28 minutes. It was decisive. There was a key word that Kai should have mentioned that they discussed. Decisiveness is it. GG to Dire Wolves.
And a really nice game from Dire Wolves there. I mean, they just stuck to the game plan. They really strangled Gravitas out of any teamfight opportunities. And I feel like Chippies really put the boys in the backpack for that one. That was a terrific game. You can see that, what did shake hands with his mid laner there? His Miro as well. Shock also had a really nice game.
Vital not too happy with his performance there, but Chippy's reassuring him, we got the victory, don't worry. And he'll be very happy with that one. It was a commanding performance. There were just little to no entry points for Gravitas to mount any kind of return.
I mean, there was one. It was pick Vital, right? They picked Vital 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
So they did show signs of life. And I think that the good news for Gravitas right now is they played a pretty impressive game. And I think that Praylist, honestly, got outperformed by Miro.
Yeah.
And we said, you know, it did seem that if Praylist didn't perform, this team was going to struggle. However, it was K-Pop having a much better game. on the Zyra.
Yeah.
You know, it was nobody and Puma standing up as well in the respective roles. So I think that there were signs of life from the team, but it just didn't come together as the game progressed. You could see that they felt like they were always on that timer, and Dire Wolves able to easily win out in the end in 28 minutes.
Putting the pressure to them as the handshakes come across. But yeah, decisive victory here for the Dire Wolves. For Gravitas, back to the drawing board for them. They can definitely take a lot of positives away from it, but the opportunity to engage were very slim. We're going to jump back to the desk as Rusty and Nick adjust themselves and get themselves ready to break down what just happened.
You may have missed that. You may have missed what just happened, but Decoy wasn't there to shake hands. He was busting.
Oh, was he?
I was coming down the stairs and he burst out of the room. The ref's like, "Where are you going?" He's like, "Bathroom now." And had no time to shake hands.
Well,
so I'm glad they ended when they did, or it could have been a disaster.
Well, they better push it out fast as well, because he's due in here in any second. Just to be clear as well, just to follow up on something Skippy said, we were adjusting our microphones and headsets. We weren't just generally adjusting. Just clarifying, mate. Just clarifying. There we go. There we go.
Yep.
Dire Wolves are a good team. How do you feel that way?
I still think it was shaky. I think that they feel the same way. Like, watching a game like that, it wasn't the cleanest win. They still had to rely on a split push from Chippies to be able to get the win in the first place. That's not ideal. Their opponents got a lot of ins.
It was a little scrappy there in the first half, wasn't it? Like, there were lots of times where it looked like Gravitas was sort of clawing their way back.
And I'm very excited to hear what Decoy has to say about it as well, because he was a part of the area where it did start to go a bit awry for them. You know, there was the mid lane skirmishes where things started to get very shaky, where the Ornn just walked down and was able to, just teleported in, was able to match walking down as well.
Yep.
It's not Decoy though. Still in the bathroom, I fear.
There you go.
What's up, G?
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry that you're very clearly our second choice.
Yeah, that's okay, man.
Do you feel okay about this?
Yeah, I'm all right.
Tell us how Decoy's doing, because I just have all the questions I was going to ask him. So, how's Decoy doing?
I don't know. I'm sure he's doing great in the bathroom right now. Yeah.
Thanks for
All right,
asking.
we'll be back after this. No, congratulations on the win. We were just saying it was a bit scrappy there, to and fro, particularly the first half of the game. How was it for you?
Well, I think, that definitely is the same way we feel about it. I think we've had a lot cleaner games in scrims, and we're still kind of struggling to transition that to stage, but I'm pretty confident that like the ceiling is there for us. So we just need to, I guess, get more used to it as a team. Yeah.
How do you find life as a Dire Wolf now?
It's a hard question. I don't know. It's just same eSports life, right?
Pretty much, just sit at a computer and play a bunch of games.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's basically
What
it.
about with the addition of Vital to the team now, right? You've got another Korean in there, and I know that you guys, Chippies and yourself, have got the basics of it down here and there. How is integrating another Korean to the team?
Yeah, it's pretty hard at first. I'd say his English was not very good to start with, but especially with like Midu able to help like translate for him, and he's been like really willing to learn. So it's getting quite good now. Yeah.
Is he doing lessons or just learning through?
No, he's just learning from hearing us, which maybe isn't a good thing, but
All right, well, congratulations on the win. Well fought, well won. We'll be back right after this short break.